Bonjour! In this lesson, we're looking at Chapter 1, Leçon 3, Les structures. In the first part of this lesson, they introduce you to many vocabulary words dans la salle de classe, in the classroom. Now, in your ebook, they will have a section where you can hear and listen to each one of these vocabulary words, and I would encourage you to go through and listen to each one of them several times, and encourage you as well to try to pronounce them as closely as you can to what you're hearing. Now, if you look at these words, you will notice like un bureau, a desk. It has this little article in front of it, and that's what we're really going to be focusing on in this video. This is called an indefinite article, un article indéfini in French. And this is basically a or an in English. So if we go over to the next page, we see a conversation, and you see this in context. Salut Mamadou, j'ai un blog. Right? So we see an indefinite article right here, un blog. And you'll see several different ones in the context here. And that's what we want to talk about. If you look further down the page, they start to give you some explanations. And you're going to notice that they say all nouns in French are either masculine or feminine. And those are good things to memorize. So when you're learning the vocabulary words, you want to learn un bureau, means a desk. And you want to learn that un, because that tells you that the desk is masculine. And that's going to help you tremendously as you go further on in your study of French. So here they give us a couple of examples. Un ami, un accent, right? Those are both masculine. Now, if we look, we can make those same words feminine. Une amie, I'm going to add an E to the end. Une action, an action. So the un is used for masculine nouns and une for feminine nouns. The un and une can also mean one depending on the context. So you can say, voilà un café, there's a cafe, or il y a une étudiante, there is one student. And of course, context will help you know the difference as to what it is that they are trying to say. Now, when we look on page 22, they're talking about the gender of nouns. And you'll want to look in your book. I still have a little bit of a glare on mine, but if you follow along in your ebook, you'll be able to read here that because the gender of a noun is not always predictable, it is best to learn it along with the noun, and that's what I was mentioning. You want to learn that a desk is masculine, that the table is feminine, right? That a tie is feminine, that a chair is feminine. And it seems a little bit different to us because we don't have this at all in English, but you want to learn those as you go because it will help you later on. Now, there are some general rules that you can follow, and they will be of help to you. So nouns that refer to males are usually masculine, and nouns that refer to females are usually feminine. Like if I'm talking about a man, I would say un homme. I'm going to use the sound. And then if I'm talking about a woman, une femme, I'm going to use une. I'm going to use the feminine form because I'm talking about a woman. So that's pretty easy. Now, if you look at the number 2 suggestion here, they tell you that sometimes the ending of a noun is a clue to its gender. So masculine, if you see at the end of these words, they're usually masculine. So like bureau, that E-A-U, or isme, like I-S-M-E, or the mot, M-E-N-T. Those are generally masculine endings. So you're going to use un with those. The feminine list is a little bit longer. We have the INCE, une différence, ION, une réaction, IE, une librairie, the URE, une lecture, and the TE with our accent, une université. And you'll notice all of those use une. Another good thing to know is that nouns that are borrowed from other languages are usually masculine. And the French does borrow quite a few words from other languages. So that's why we see things like un Coca-Cola, un couscous. Now the names of languages are also masculine. And something to note is they are not capitalized in French. Then they go on to say that some nouns that refer to people can be changed between masculine and feminine by adding an E. So I can have a friend that's male, and I'm going to say un ami. But if I'm talking about one of my friends that's a girl, I'm going to say une, right? I'm going to change my article, and then I'm going to add the E to the end, une amie. Then we have un étudiant. This would be a student that, of course, is a male. And then I have a female student, une étudiante. Now notice with the T here, un étudiant, in the masculine form, I do not hear that final T, but une étudiante, I will hear it. And then we have un français. This is a French man, une française, a French woman. And again, on the S there, français, you're not going to hear it here, but française, you do hear that S, it sounds like a Z. And that's what this note here is telling you, that T, N, D, and S's are silent usually in the masculine form here, but if it's in the feminine form, you're actually going to pronounce those. Now another thing that is to note is that many nouns that end in E have only one form, and they can refer to both males and females. So I can say un touriste, une touriste. My word doesn't change like these up here where I have a friend and I'm going to add an E. Here there's already an E, so all I'm doing is changing my article to un or une. And then finally here we also have that the article can be the same for both masculine and feminine. So if I'm talking about a plumber, it doesn't matter if the plumber is a male or a female, I'm always going to say un plombier. Or a doctor is always un médecin. A person is always going to be une personne. It doesn't matter if I'm talking about my dad or about my guy friend, it's always going to be une personne. And then, of course, a movie star is going to be une vedette. So these are just some notes with the getting the gender of the nouns kind of clear in your mind in French. But again, the best thing to do is as you learn the vocabulary words to memorize the masculine and feminine and what they are. Now, the other thing that they're showing you here in this lesson is that when you have singular, un touriste or une touriste, it doesn't matter if it's masculine or feminine. Both of them in the plural are going to become des. So let's look at a couple of examples. Un ami, that means I have a friend. I'm only talking about one. But I may talk about des amis. So I'm going to change my article to des, and I'm going to add an S. Here I have une question. I just have one question. But here I have des questions. Plural. I have more than one, and then I'm going to add an S to the end. There are other ways of making nouns plural besides just adding an S, like here in question and ami, but we'll talk about that at a later date. So, the most important thing to be doing is to be memorizing those vocabulary words, whether they're masculine or feminine, and then try to maybe get some of these rules in your mind as to whether nouns are masculine or feminine. That will greatly help you in this lesson and then also in lessons to come. Let me know if you have any questions. Merci. Au revoir.